to Book Your Success, the online show for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs, about entrepreneurs. This show spotlights authors who have books which provide information, innovation, and inspiration needed by successful entrepreneurs and business professionals. It includes a special focus on how authors use their book to market and build their brand. Let's join host and entrepreneur Anita Paul with today's guest.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Book Your Success. I'm glad you joined us. I'm Anita Paul, your host, the author's midwife with WriteYourLife.net. And you might wonder something a little bit different. Notice a little bit different on our set. I'm minus a guest today. On purpose, of course, we decided to do another episode of Ask Anita, the author's midwife. Ask your questions. And so we put out a call on our social networks, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, email as well, for your questions about writing and publishing. And we have a boatload of questions. Don't know if we'll get through all of them today, but we will try. Before we get started with the Ask Anita episode, I want to give a shout out, of course, to our sponsor, Sip for Your Cause. Sip for Your Cause is a turnkey fundraising, marketing, and consulting initiative designed to increase awareness, sustainability, and impact for nonprofits of all different types. So if you work for a nonprofit organization, if you run a nonprofit organization, you definitely want to get in touch with SIP for Your Cause, and you can reach them at www.sipforyourcause.org, so you can learn how to benefit and actually improve and increase the functionality and the operational effectiveness of your nonprofit organization. So, Ask Anita. You guys sent me some doozies this time. And also a couple of questions that we get all the time. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, maybe this is your first time watching the show, you know that I'm known as the author's midwife. My company, The Right Image, is a literary consultancy and a publishing services company. And we consult and coach aspiring authors to actually write their book. And typically these are corporate executives, these are professionals, they are entrepreneurs, and some even in the children's and genealogy and other genres as well, who want to write a book really to establish their platform and enhance their expertise. So doing that for the last several years, gotten a lot of questions from people about writing a book, publishing a book. Typically, we steer our authors in the direction of self-publishing, which is gaining a huge amount of traction these days. But I tell you what, one of the questions I get most often, and you won't believe it, maybe you will. You probably want to ask me yourself, Anita, have you written a book? Give me a break. I laugh at people sometimes when they ask me that question, but of course the answer is yes. What kind of author's coach and consultant would I be if I hadn't written my own book? So yes, I've written several books. One of my books, and I didn't bring any of them with me today, but Write Your Life is a journal. It's subtitled How to Create Your Ideal Life in the book you've been wanting to write. It's a journal that really helps people walk through the process of journaling and then turning those journal entries into content for their book. I've co-authored several books in the collaborative realm. One is called Publishing as a Marketing Strategy. I worked with 5 other authors to produce that book. Another one is called How to Market Your Book Free, and marketing is a huge area that authors have a challenge with. And I think we've got a couple of questions to tackle today that deal with marketing your book, and that's something that you want to consider throughout the process. And then I co-authored a book last year called Got Proof, My Genealogical Journey Through the Use of Documentation, which actually, and I'm very happy to say, won as finalist. The author was finalist in the 50th Georgia Author of the Year Awards here in 2014, just about a week ago. That was awarded by the Georgia Writers Association, and so thumbs up and congratulations to you, Michael Henderson, who's the primary author of that memoir. So I was very happy to be co-author of that book. So yes, I've written several books, co-authored books, and so I understand what the process is. I understand the journey of self-publishing, and so I tell my clients all the time, I feel your pain. I know what it's like, and so I practice what I preach, and I'm certainly telling you to practice strategies and tactics that I would obviously do myself. So we're going to jump into some of your questions today. And the first one comes from Stephanie. Stephanie sent an email to us. And Stephanie's question is, what is an ISBN and how do I get one? Well, Stephanie and everybody else out there who is watching, an ISBN is that number in the barcode that is on the back of books that you purchase, typically. It's an identifier. ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number. And it is a number and a barcode that helps booksellers keep track, identify and keep track of book sales for you. So if you write your book with the intention of making it for public consumption, meaning that you want people to actually purchase your book, then you want to get an ISBN. You can get one for yourself. You can have your publishing services company get the ISBN for you. Go to Bowker.com, or Bowker, some people say, BOWKER.com, and you can get some more information about an ISBN, how to order one, and that kind of thing. There's a fee involved, so take a look at what that is. But you'll want to have an ISBN so that booksellers can identify and track your book sales. Okay, so that's what an ISBN number is, Stephanie. All right, next question is from Art. Art sent this question in on Facebook. He says, do I really need an editor if I'm an experienced writer? Well, Art, copy editing is a non-negotiable. Even if you're a copy editor, you need a copy editor, okay? No matter how proficient you are with writing, if you consider yourself a professional writer, you still need a copy editor. Copy editing is one of the most critical aspects of the book publishing process. Unfortunately, a lot of self-published authors don't give enough value to copy editing. I think that the lack of copy editing is probably one of the reasons why self-publishing for many years has obtained sort of a negative reputation in the publishing industry, because people don't invest in good professional copy editing. Copy editing will help make sure that your book content flows well. It's more than just checking for grammar, spelling, and punctuation. It really is looking at the consistencies in your book, the flow of your story, making sure that, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and that there is a particular style that your book is structured in. So copy editing really focuses on structure and accuracy and consistency and flow. So absolutely, yes, Art, you need a copy editor, even if you are an experienced writer. And that goes for everybody else out there too. So never diminish the value of copy editing. We work with several very excellent copy editors with my company, and we're very, very proud to be affiliated with them and associated with them. They do fantastic work. So I suggest that you reach out to copy editors, and you can find some. If you don't know of a good copy editor, you can obviously Google it for your area. Visit your local writers association, or give us a contact, give us a call, or reach out to us at info@writeyourlife.net, and we can chat with you a little bit more about copy editing and the importance of it for your book. So Josh also sent a question in through Facebook. He says, how many pages, boy, oh boy, do I get this question a lot. How many pages are too many pages for a book these days, or does it depend on the genre? Well, I think, Josh, if you asked 5 people that question, you'd get 10 answers. There's really not a standard. And yes, I think it does depend on the genre of your book, meaning if it's fiction or nonfiction. And then, of course, you've got sort of subgenres under that. With your nonfiction books, there's self-help and how-to and spiritual and, memoir and all these different kinds of subgenres. And, of course, in fiction, there is, there are children's books, and there is, suspense and the whole 9 yards. So There's no real standard. You can Google it and you'll still get a multitude of answers, but I would suggest, just as a very loose recommendation, if you're writing a nonfiction book, meaning that, it's all true. It could be a memoir. It could be a how-to book, so explaining how to do something, or self-help. Count on between 35 and probably 75,000 words. 35 and 75,000. 35 is short. 75 is comfortable. You can make it longer, but I think people tend to gravitate to shorter books these days as a standard. For novels, I would look at, at least 100,000 words for your book. 100,000 words minimum for a novel is typical. And of course, with children's books, it depends on the age range you're writing for. Older children can read longer books. Younger children will, especially if they're at the reading age, will read shorter books. But even books for younger children that a parent or grandparent would read to those kids should still be a little bit shorter. So those are really loose. There's no, hard and fast rules to how many pages your book will be, because after all, the page count of your book really depends on the size of the book and the point size of the print and all that other stuff. So don't think in terms of pages necessarily, but in terms of words. And again, for nonfiction, kind of loosely 35,000 to 75,000 words. If you're writing a novel or a fiction book, consider, a minimum of 100,000 words for the length of your book. And then, whatever the page count comes out to be is what the page count comes out to be. Okay. So, Josh, I hope that answers your question. I invite all of those folks in the chat room to identify yourselves, and feel free to toss out a question. I'd love to get to it if we have time. In the meantime, we're going to move on with a few more questions before we take a commercial break. We've got a question from Sheena. Sheena submitted this. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Sheena from LinkedIn. And thank you very much for connecting with us on LinkedIn. She says, how do I copyright the title of my book? Well, Sheena, typically book titles are not copyrighted. Same typically for song titles. Usually it's the content in your book that's copywritten. So it's the structure and the formatting and the content of your book that is copyrighted. Same for music. Typically, it's the arrangement of the song that is copywritten. Now, there are times when titles are copyrighted or copywritten, and typically because it's a phrase that is popularized or common. I actually ran into this with a client of mine recently who has a chapter in her book that takes on the title of a popular song. I'm not going to tell you what the song is, and it's very popular. And our editor raised the question of if that song title is actually copyrighted by the person who wrote the song or arranged the music or whatever. And so we suggested that she get in touch with her attorney to double check. So we could check on the copyright, I think it's the copyright website. It's www.uscopyright.org or something, or .gov. Website to find out, but typically you want to have something like that done by an attorney, a copyright attorney, to do a thorough and in-depth search to find out if you're using a phrase or a title or something that's popularized that might well be copywritten. You want to double check, and I suggest you hire an attorney to do that. My client thought, you know what, it's probably going to be easier, excuse me, to just change the title of that chapter. And I thought that was a pretty good decision. Before she made that decision, she asked, well, what could happen if we just keep it? And I thought, well, a number of things could happen, one of which the copyright holder, if that person exists, could find out about the use of their phrase or term or title and send you a cease and desist letter. Which would probably be a warning 1 or 2, which means that you'd have to pull all existing copies of your publication not for sale, make them not for sale, and then reprint with that title changed. Not a whole lot you can do about the books that are already out there, but, excuse me, it could still cost you a lot of money, excuse me, to pull those books that are already out there. I need some water, and we're going to need to take a commercial break.
What happens when soldiers come home? Brene Foundation offers hero support to ensure that our heroes abroad can continue to be heroes at home. We link veterans with organizations who are dedicated to guiding the transition from military hero to civilian hero. If you want to find out how you can support our troops at home, please contact the Brene Foundation or visit brene.com.
If you're running a small business these days, you know it's important to connect with your current customers. If you don't stay in touch, they'll forget why you're special. But not if you use email marketing from ConstantContact.com. Constant Contact is the easy, affordable way to reach your current customers. You can upload your logo, add pictures, and promote specials, even make a coupon. Remind your customers why your small business is special with ConstantContact.com. Prices as low as $15 a month.
How does your small business stay top of mind with customers? From deals that bring them in with an offer, to social media promotions that turn fans into customers, to events that engage and create buzz, to emails that keep loyal customers coming back. Our easy-to-use tools will keep you in front of your customers.
Hi, I'm Dr. Altieri, and welcome to our office.
And I'm Dr. Cavallo. We're co-owners of AC Spine and Wellness. We've been located here in Lawrenceville for the past 21 years. We'd like to thank you in advance for looking at our website and for taking a virtual tour of our office with us.
What we do is we work with people of all ages, from birth through to senior citizens, and we do it in a natural way. We want to get you healthy and keep you healthy.
What we've done recently is integrated our office, creating a chiropractic and a medical group together. What this does is allows you to get the optimal wellness that you deserve as a person.
Thank you for visiting our office and our website, and make sure you take time to go into our new patient section where we offer different specials monthly.
And remember, we're trying to create a healthier world naturally.
Woo! Welcome back to Book Your Success. We are on a roll with Ask Anita. You guys have got me fired up about all these questions about writing and publishing your book. I'm glad that you sent all these questions in. From Facebook, you sent them in via email, LinkedIn, Twitter. This is awesome. I love that you have all these fantastic questions about writing and publishing your book. And I hope that everybody who, at least the people who sent the questions in, are very seriously considering writing a book. I believe everybody has a book in them. Everyone has a story to tell. It's a matter of where you are in your stage of experiencing what your story is and whether you're ready to get it out. So, when you're ready to get it out, of course, you know you can contact the author's midwife with writeyourlife.net, and always tune in to Book Your Success. You know, we broadcast live on the first and third Tuesdays here on bizlinks.tv. I want to give a shout out to Sip for Your Cause because they are our sponsor for today. If you run or work for a nonprofit organization and you're interested in some very unique turnkey operational strategies to help improve the efficiency of your organization, be sure to get in touch with Sip for Your Cause. They have some fantastic fundraising and other strategies and tactics to help you improve your nonprofit organization. Get in touch with them at www.sipforyourcause.org. Okay? So, again, I want to say hey to all the folks out there in the chat room and invite you to ask your questions if you have any questions for us today. You know, we typically do have a guest. Usually I'm not flying solo. Of course, Book Your Success is all about interviewing authors about their books, how they use their books in their business, and help utilizing their books to leverage their platform. And so if you know of an author who is interested in being on our show, we want you to get in touch with us. And what's our email address again? It's Book Your Success. It's Book Your Success.
Book Your Success at bizlinks.tv.
At bizlinks.tv. That was Pamela Alexander. She is our fantastic and phenomenal producer. Book Your Success at bizlinks.tv is our email address. Be sure to let us know if you or someone you know is a published author and would be interested in being a guest on our show. We ended with the question about copywriting the title of your book, and I'm not sure I really wrapped that up before I got the scratchy throat there. But Sheena, with LinkedIn, I wanted to let you know that typically you will not copyright the title of your book. You copyright the content in your book. And I suggest you go to the uscopyright.gov website and get some more information about copyright. I think it is very essential. We want to make sure that we have legal protection for the information that we write. And you want to do that. Let's see, we're going to move on to another question. This person decided to be anonymous, and that's okay. I can appreciate that. This is a very common question that we get at Write Your Life, and the question is, what's the best way to market my book? Now, we've got probably about 15 more minutes in this show. And it would take way longer than that to talk about the many, many ways that you can market your book. There's more than one way, and a lot of it depends on who your target audience is. So think about your book as a product, and just like any other product, you want to consider who you're marketing that product to. So you should be very clear and, in my opinion, very narrow on who your target audience or your ideal reader is, so you can make sure that whatever method you choose to market your book is targeted specifically to that ideal reader. So that could include social media, and then even with that, you've got to figure out which social networks, which platforms is my target audience likely to utilize. You could use email marketing. Of course, we just saw a commercial from our wonderful sponsor, Constant Contact. So you could send out email marketing campaigns on a regular basis. You could utilize the option of awards or reviews or events. There's a multitude of ways to market your book. So I really wouldn't say there's one best way to market your book other than to say to get it out there, get the word out there. I co-authored a book last year called How to Market Your Book Free. And in that book, my co-author, Nicole Antoinette, and I listed 101 ways, free ways to market your book. Low cost or no cost. Most of them, all of them are no cost. So you can find that book on Amazon.com, or you can go to my website, writeyourlife.net. And get some strategies, get some ideas. You don't have to spend a ton of money on marketing, although I would suggest you get some people to help you. Marketing is a big project, and you want to make sure that you cover as many bases as you possibly can. Don't think you can do that by yourself. You definitely need a marketing team to help you. So be creative in your marketing. Again, first and foremost, keep in mind who your target audience or your ideal reader is. And then, of course, obviously, the subject matter of your book is going to matter. Also, keep in mind that for some books, the purchaser of your book may be different from your ideal reader. For example, take a children's book. Most kids are not going to the bookstore buying their own books. They will go with their parent or grandparent, or they're given the book as a gift. So you have a couple of different audiences that you're appealing to. Obviously, the book has to appeal to the purchaser of the book, the one with the money, who's going to actually go to the bookstore on the website to purchase your book. But it also has to appeal to the reader, or the book that the audience that the book is intended for. So keep that in mind. Again, genre, focus of your book, ideal reader, and then you've got to just be creative with your marketing strategies. Okay. All right, we've got another question from LinkedIn. This one comes from Andrew. Andrew says, how much should I charge for my ebook? All right, so ebooks have gained tremendously in popularity over the last several years. I'll tell you that you should not consider, whether you do your book in ebook or print. I would say be open to doing both. And charging for ebooks, wow, there's no standard. Kind of like how many pages should your book be? There is no single standard for a price for an ebook. I've seen ebooks start at a penny, 1 cent. you probably don't want to charge a penny for your ebook. So you might want to go take a similar strategy as I suggest my clients do when it comes to their print books, which is to go online and take a look at similar books that are in the genre that your book is in. Consider the page count and even the quality of the book. Remembering that an ebook is not a Word document that you have exported into PDF. It is an actual file format that should be able to be read on a Kindle or any other kind of e-reader. So you want to sort of compare, because that's what your readers are going to be doing. They're comparing. And so, I can't even tell you, not knowing what your book is about or the content or the format of it or the quality of it, what you should charge. But, be fair to yourself, be fair to your readers. Definitely charge more than a penny. I've seen, ebooks comfortably go for anywhere from $4.99 to $12.99. So that's a range for you to consider, but no hard and fast rule for you. So, Andrew, I hope that answers your question. I do want to say hello to some folks in the chat room. We've got Sebastian. Hi there. Thanks for joining us. Peter, Sue, and Kevin are in the chat room, and I hope you all either have a book already. I know you have a book in you. At the very least, I want you to chime in and ask me a question about writing or publishing your book. If you have a question or you know someone who's in the midst of the publishing process, ask a question on their behalf. You know how they do with psychologists. My friend has a question. You can be anonymous. It's okay. You don't have to go there. And we've got some people over here in the peanut gallery laughing at that. I didn't mention at the start of the show that we have the Alexander crew in the house. Nash and Pamela Alexander. I mentioned that Pamela Alexander is the producer of the show, and Nash is our trusty executive producer / everything guy. And I'm always happy to be here with them when we do Book Your Success. So again, hi to everybody in the chat room. And we're going to take a question, actually, from the chat room. How important is it to have my book on Amazon? Wow. How important is it to have your book on Amazon? It is essential that you have your book on Amazon. Amazon is one of the, if not the, most popular online bookseller. People will naturally just go to Amazon to look for your book. Whether they buy it from Amazon or not is another question. Most often people who are used to online purchasing will, but people just want to know that it's there. It's important to have your book on Amazon.com also, because if you are seeking reviews for your book, and that is reviews from journalists, book reviewers, organizations, they're going to actually go on Amazon and make sure your book is there. For some reason, for a lot of those organizations and book buyers, it's not a real book if it's not on Amazon. So that's just the general thought. I'm not saying it's true. That's just what people think. If your book is not on Amazon, it's not a real book. Even if it is a print book, even if it's done with fantastic quality, it should be listed on Amazon. And that is not a difficult thing to do. You can do it yourself, but most people have their publishers or their publishing services company list their book on Amazon.com. So definitely very, very important to have your book listed on Amazon. To me, it's a non-negotiable. Just get it done. It's not going to hurt you. And Amazon is another distribution method. So people oftentimes wonder, well, gosh, if I have my book listed on Amazon and they fulfill my order, they're going to take a cut, yada, yada, yada. Do you want 100% of zero? Or do you want a percentage of something? Okay? You need to be exploring every distribution method that makes sense for your target audience as possible and for the quality of your book. And Amazon is definitely at the top of the list. So you definitely want to have your book listed on Amazon.com. All right, Margaret from LinkedIn asks, do I really need reviews? I just mentioned reviews. Do I really need reviews or testimonials on the back of my book? Okay, she's talking about the back of her book. And if so, how do I get them? Okay, so we know when you grab a book, you flip it on the back, whether it's hardcover, softcover, whatever. And oftentimes we see those nice little quotes by whoever it is. Those are testimonials. Some people call them blurb. I call them blurbs. Endorsements. Some people call them endorsements. And oftentimes those will be submitted by journalists, book reviewers, experts in the field that your book was written in. people with some cred, right? Some street cred, some credibility, some notoriety. And I believe that those testimonials, those endorsements, those back cover blurbs are important but not essential. I think they're great. I think they are sort of that third party endorsement for your book that potential readers will be looking for. They want to know what other people have said about your book. And obviously, these are people who have read your manuscript or a portion of your book, and you can, knowledgeably say that this is a good read and you should read it. So I think they are important, not essential. Your book will not be a flop if you don't have them, but I think it's always nice to have an endorsement or a testimonial on your book. Similarly, these days we're into peer review, right? So think about, going back to Amazon, the importance of reviews of your book on Amazon. Oftentimes people, if they're looking for your book, they'll look at the description of the book. They may go to your author page on Amazon.com, but they'll also scroll down and take a look at the testimonials and the reviews and the comments from people who have read your book. So those are important as well. Equally important on the back cover of your book. How do you get them, Margaret? Well, I suggest very early on in the process, probably before your book goes to copy editing, after your book goes to copy editing, you can send a chapter and your contents page to a couple of people whose opinions you value and who have some influence, again, in the area that you're writing your book in, and ask that they endorse your book. Ask them to write a simple sentence or two that you could include on the back cover of your book, and give them notice. Obviously, you're going to give them some visibility and give their name, and if they're an author or the CEO of a particular company, you're going to give that information on the back of your book along with their testimonial. So it increases, it offers some visibility for them. It offers credibility for you and for your book, and it just looks good, okay? Again, your book won't be a flop without them, but I highly recommend you seek those testimonials and those blurbs, and do it early. Again, I say do it after the copy editing phase, because what you send them, the part of the manuscript you send them, you want it to be good, right? And you want it to have been copy edited. All right, I don't know what's going on over there in the chat room. Hopefully we've got another question. What's a good system for outlining my book? Who asked that? A good system for outlining your book? Well, Peter. I have an awesome system for outlining your book. And you know what? It's proprietary. But I tell it to people, I tell it to people all the time because I think it's awesome and I know that it works. So, Peter, and everybody else out there in BizLinks TV land, I hope you have your laptops and your iPads and your pencils and pens ready, because here it is. It's 1331. It's so simple. One theme for your book. Every book has one. Just one. Your book is not about all this bunch of stuff. One theme, three main points, three supporting facts or examples or case studies or whatever underneath each of your main points, and then one takeaway. One thing that your readers should get from your book. Your book should change people, right? So they should think, feel, or do something differently. Think, feel, or do something differently after they read your book. One theme, three main points, three supporting facts, stories, or examples, and then one takeaway. That's your simple outline. It's a framework. It's a template. It works every time. I tell people the ones never change. You should always have one theme and one takeaway. But your threes could change. So you could have 5 main points. 12 is too many, Peter. That's too many. 3 main points as a starting point, and you can add on from there. And then 3 supporting those facts, stories, examples, or whatever. That could stretch out to maybe 4 or 5 or 6. But use that 1331 as a framework for an outline for your book, and you are on your way to, and right within that outline, okay, don't start adding a bunch of stuff later. You will be on your way to producing a fantastic book, very well organized and easy for the reader to follow. That is the key, okay? Go for it, Peter. All right, I think we have time maybe for 1 or 2 more questions, probably 2 more. So I'm going to take this one from Georgia. Georgia sent this in email. She said, "What's the value of having other people read my manuscript prior to publication?" Huge value, huge, because Georgia, you already know what you're going to say. You know what you want to say, and you think that the way you wrote it is perfect. You think that the one takeaway you decided is so super clear for your readers that it's a no-brainer. But there's nothing like having some people read your book. I call them either beta readers or critiquers, and you want someone to read your book before you get it out there, before you complete the process of publishing, before you get that, pretty cover done and the book laid out and it's printed and all that stuff. You want to know that it hits the nail on the head, that what you intend for people to get from the book is really what they get from the book. And so my recommendation is that you have, and I think this is actually another question that we had, you should have between 3 to 5 beta readers. And they should be people who are included in your target audience. These should be ideal readers, preferably not your relatives, because they love you so much. They love you, or they're mad at you because you forgot to bring the turkey at Thanksgiving last year. So either they're going to love it or they're going to hate it. But you definitely want to give your beta readers some instruction, some direction. So you don't just bind up your manuscript and give it to people and say, hey, read this and tell me what you think. You will get nothing useful from that. What you want to do is come up with, 5 to 10 questions that your beta readers should answer pertaining to your book, and make sure that you got it right on the nail. You got it point by point. So these should be questions that will help you improve your manuscript, okay? And then get those. I always instruct my clients to bind, print out their manuscript, bind it, usually spiral bound. You can take it to any print shop, and then mail it with a cover letter and those questions. And obviously you're telling your beta readers prior to doing this to expect it. Give them a deadline on when they should return the hard copy. I don't recommend you send your manuscript electronically. It's too easy to have it floating out there. People are highly unlikely to go back to the copy shop and copy all the pages that you've sent them, but more likely if they, have those intentions to forward your PDF file or whatever to somebody else. So you really do want to print it out, send it to them, give them instructions, give them those questions, and give them a deadline for when they should return that. That's going to help you improve your manuscript. Make the changes. Some of the suggestions you may not want to utilize because, maybe they missed it, right? Maybe they missed your whole point. But the feedback you get should be useful if you come up with some questions that, are designed to help you improve that manuscript. So I believe that the value of having beta readers is really, really important. And I think you want to do that, and I highly suggest that you do. And if you want some more information on that, then you can get in touch with me, of course. We've got one more question in the chat room, and I think we got a couple more questions in the chat room. Is collaborating on a book really a good option? And if so, who's in control? All right, we all want to be in control, right? Collaborative books are a wonderful option, I believe, for publishing, particularly for people who are first-time authors. But even if you have written a book of your own already, I think collaborative or compilation books are a wonderful option. For people who are first-time authors, oftentimes they don't feel like they have enough content for a whole book themselves, and so they want to collaborate with people. Or if you have a group of people who have a common bond, a common interest, or a common expertise, you can each contribute a chapter to the book. I mentioned earlier that I have participated in a couple of collaborative books. One was publishing as a marketing strategy, which we did with 5 other authors, and we each contributed a chapter to the book. We shared our expertise and our opinion about the value of publishing as a marketing strategy. You can do that as well. It could, I've heard of even novels being written in a collaborative format. So I think collaboration is a wonderful option. Who should be in control? That's another story, my dear. I recently actually finished with a group of collaborators, clients of mine, who published a book in March. Finished it, took them about a year, which was great. There were 5 co-authors, and the book is Our Ancestors, Our Stories. They are all genealogists and historians, and they have common ancestry in a town in South Carolina, and they decided to, share their stories in this collaborative book. So the question of who's in control really is determined by the structure of your group. There should be one person who sort of communicates with your publisher or your publishing services company. It's difficult for the whole group to be the communication point or source point for your publishing company. But so you do want to identify one person who not so much is in control, but they may be the coordinator of the project. I would say it that way. But everybody should have input, particularly if everyone is contributing dollars to the production of the book. So there's a couple of different models. We probably don't have time to get into all of those right now. But sometimes the control factor or the coordination factor is determined by the financial investment in the book. Long story short is that I think collaborative books are a wonderful option, and actually I'm working on a collaborative book right now called Building a Business, Building a Life, and this one is focused on women in business. So we do collaborative books all the time at Write Your Life. I'd love it if you would get in touch with me if you have an idea for a collaborative book. You can reach me at Anita@writeyourlife.net. Anita@writeyourlife.net if you're interested in learning more about collaborative books. We're going to take another question from the chat room. Is writing the book to its completion the end of the process or just the beginning? For example, where does marketing and sales and all that kind of stuff fall in? Well, I bet the person who asked that knows the answer already. Honestly, the writing is the start. You've just gotten started when you write the book and you finish, and it's all nice and it reads well, and you've read it like 12 times to the point that you can almost memorize it page by page. That's really the beginning, because the rest of the process then has to unfold. It has to be copy edited. It has to be designed and laid out. Particularly if you have images or photos and things like that for the book. You got to get your ISBN. It has to be copyrighted. And then printed. And then, of course, you do have to market and sell your book, which is something you don't want to wait to think about until you have the book in your hand. You should be thinking about marketing and sales and promotion and leverage of your book from the start of the process forever, for the life of the book. So the life of the book has a life well beyond I'm done with my manuscript. I can say I'm a published author now. No. Writing the book to completion is really just the start of it, which should not deter you. Don't be afraid, because the process really should be fun, and it should absolutely be a learning experience. So don't throw up your hands and say, I did it, hallelujah, I'm done. When you finish with the manuscript, there's a lot more to the process that follows, and we have a wonderful process at Write Your Life, and we have an infographic actually that explains what our process is, and you can get that on our website. But I do want to say, before we say goodbye, I want to say hello again to the people in the chat room. We've got Kevin, Sue, Peter, Jane, and Sebastian. Hello. Thanks for all of you for watching and for listening and for tossing out those very challenging questions about writing and publishing your books. I'm going to shout out to my peanut gallery and find out if we have any more questions coming up. That was the last question.
Said, great job. A lot of great information.
Fabulous. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. This has been another episode of Book Your Success. Thank you so much for watching BizLinks TV. Join us back here again on the first and third Tuesdays. You know where to reach us. And of course, you know that BizLinks TV has a ton of other fantastic shows that you should be watching. So keep that on your favorites list, bizlinks.tv. Tell your friends, send out the link on your social networks, and we'll see you back here next time. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us. Today's show can be viewed again in archives on our website at www.bizlinks.tv. If you are an entrepreneur and would like to appear on the program to discuss your book and share how you utilize it to enhance your business platform, submit an inquiry to Book Your Success at bizlinks.tv. In addition, information on advertising and hosting your own show can be found on our website at www.bizlinks.tv.